What's up, everyone? Welcome to Growth Channel. Today we have two very special guests, my brother Rick and his wife Arlene. Welcome, guys.
Yo,
Thank you
thank
guys
you.
for coming.
Thank you for having us, bro.
No problem. So, the audience wants to know, who are you guys? Who is Rick and Arlene?
Man, who are we? You want to start up, set it up? Man, she always does that to me. So, who are we, man? I mean, just born and raised here in Bakersfield. A little history about myself. Grew up on the east side. Kind of shared a little bit on part one when we had done a little, podcast in the barbershop. I'm a barber by trade. Gosh, dude. Yeah, just I would say, typical. You know what I mean? Latino from Bakersfield, man.
What part of Mexico?
My parents they were born and raised in a little town called Chucandiro, which is in Morelia, Michoacan. They're from Michoacan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So yeah, but yeah, we were, what I'm saying, created here in Bakersfield on
There
this
you go.
side. On this side.
On the east side. There you go.
Yeah, and the way things are looking, man, I don't get into politics, but we were joking around yesterday. It's like, man, do we still qualify, or do I gotta, you know what I mean, get booted too? Like, yo, you gotta go too. I don't know, but yeah, no, we're just basic people, man. Just, you know what I mean, low key, chill.
Humble.
Yeah,
There you go.
humble. You know.
How about your wife Arlene? Where are you from,
What
Arlene?
I'm from Bakersfield.
Okay.
Born and raised here. My mom and my dad both came from Texas. So, yeah, I don't know too much about the backstory of everything else, but.
Got it. So, how did you both meet?
Guys, that's funny. So I shared in the last video with the podcast on part one that I was raised born and raised here in Bakersfield in the projects on the east side, and believe it or not, there is a little nonprofit. I believe they're nonprofit, right? The PAL Center, the Police Activity League. Yeah, so her aunt worked in the housing authorities on our side, and so there's another complex projects on the other side of Bakersfield, and she ran that one as well. So long story short, we would help her like flyer the community or something and just volunteer. And so one day she goes, "Hey, I'm gonna need help on the other side. Would you guys like to go?" And we're like, "Yeah, we'll help you flyer that side." So a couple of buddies of ours, me, jumped in her car. We shot over on their side, and lo and behold, I was like, "Yo, who's that?" She's like, "That's my niece. Get away from her." I was like, "Okay." But that's how we met. Well, that was the first time I seen her, and I was like, "Okay." But yeah, just flying the community with her aunt, and
So you're saying you chased her?
kind of, yeah, yeah. I would say I did.
Now, how long ago was this?
Gosh, it's been
Let's see. What do you
okay.
say?
So it's gonna be. I watch. I'm gonna let me get my numbers right. It'll be 29 years. But check it out. So real no? Okay, so we're together 13, married. So a lot of people don't know this, but we actually separated. We divorced for 8 years. So after an 8-year divorce, so that's what, 13 and 8? I don't know good math, but 21? Okay, 21. All right. And then we both kind of went alcohol, jail, hers selling drugs, rock bottom. Both of us surrendered, turned our lives, over and just surrendered it all. And in the process, God reunited us after an 8-year divorce. So we got back together and we were remarried. So we've been remarried 8 years?
Yeah, it'll be.
So yeah.
It'll be 9 years in March.
Wow.
So I've known him
So-
for 30 years.
Can you guys speak on that a little bit? Just because I heard in church that you guys have a very powerful testimony.
Yeah.
Can you guys go deep into that?
You want to share a little bit first, babe? No, you put her on blast.
He's the talker, that's why.
Yeah.
Well, they do say that the woman is the backbone of the man. So
yeah.
So
But he's good. He's a good talker. He's a social butterfly.
So just a little bit. You want to know a little bit of that. So so in the beginning, we did get together young. When I first met her, she was 13. She lied. She said she was a little older. But after we met, I fell in love. I'm like, dude, I want her. She's mine. I'm 17 at the time, so we started dating. And then, of course, I turned 18. She turned 14. So it's like, yo, bro, you're considered an adult, so with all that. So in the whole process, you know what I mean? We We got over all that. We started dating. We ended up getting married. We're together 13 years. I partied and did stupid stuff in the beginning. So I got it out of my system. So when I was ready to say, you know what, I'm going to kick back, I'm going to start going to church, I'm going to get right. She was like, no, you had your fun. So now I want to have fun. And so that's where we kind of collided. And so when she started to kind of party, I was going to church. She shares a little bit, and I like when she shares it. But she said, like, in that process and that timing, she said, man, not even God can fix this. Because she actually came to church like a couple of times with me, and she goes, God couldn't even fix it. And so I'm me personally, I don't think she was ready to fully surrender maybe at that time. And I kind of was. So, but after the divorce, it kind of hurt me too. So I said, you know what? Screw it. I'm out. So I stopped going to church and I got into like heavy drinking. I was a full blown alcoholic. Um, Landed in jail, and I think that was my wake up call. So I share with a lot of people. It took jail to at least open my mind and say, hey man, you need help. And so I tell people I still drank for a year after that jail time, but it was more like a responsible drunk. I would leave my car now. I didn't want DUI number two, so I would leave it. But even picking up the car and stuff like that later, I'm like, you know what? This isn't cutting it. So after a year, I joined a 12-step program. Okay. And that's what helped me out to overcome the liquor. Was that Celebrate Recovery? Celebrate Recovery. At 12. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had it at our little church where I used to attend. And interesting. I sobered up. And in that process, you want to kind of share your little shenanigans, man?
Well, I think that we met when we were really young, and so we both were growing like at different rates, different stages, and so in the beginning I was a lot more mature, and probably because I didn't go out and I didn't drink, that I was handling all the responsibilities. So I was taking care of the kids and doing all that, and Rick was partying it up with his friends and having his friends coming over and not coming home and things like that. So there was a lot in the very beginning of just I was maturing, then he would mature and sober up and want to get right. And then I was like, wait a minute, like you got to party and get it all out, but here I am 18 with the baby and married and I never drank before and I never did any. So then I wanted to do it. And then he was like, oh no, I'm going to sober up. And so we were just like at different stages through the relationship in the beginning. And then I think it got to the point where there was just so many differences because we were on two different levels that we decided to go ahead and end it. So when we ended it, he went his way for 8 years, and we collided a lot, so we didn't have a really good co-parenting relationship.
The first 3 years,
we would butt heads. We both wanted it our way. It was hard for us to get along. There was a lot of hurt. There was a lot of pain. And then at that point, that's when I started dealing with some health issues, and I couldn't work anymore, and so I had to figure out how I was going to raise two kids by myself, and I didn't have a husband, and so I started selling drugs. And little by little, I started using drugs, and so I fell into addiction at that point. And then at towards the end of my addiction, I know Rick had gotten sober, and he was really going to church at that point, and I knew that he would be better with having the kids. So for the last 2 years of my addiction, he did have the kids, and he took care of them as a single father while I continued to do what I was doing. And then that's when I hit rock bottom and I came to Christ. Wow. And I served at Lifehouse for 2 years and doing ministry and just figuring out who I was without kids, without a husband, but who I truly was. And so I had to go through that whole process and dealing with a lot of the pains and things that I had to go through while I was in addiction. Because there was a lot that happened, and so you have to figure out how to get over that, how to heal through that. And then I think after 2 years of me coming to church, that's when God restored our marriage. So he was a completely different person from who I met and who I divorced, and I was a completely different person from who he met and who he divorced, and we were just able to move forward and move past it. And it's been 8 years, going on 9 years. So.
Wow. God is good. No. Yeah, and it's real quick, just to kind of piggyback, we kind of share on this too. We were both praying for a spiritual spouse, and we would both ask God, but not her. Like somebody knew, and she would be like, but not him. Nobody from my past. Like somebody knew, and so when God actually opened up our eyes, it's like, well, isn't she a new person? And I'm like, you're right, she is, and vice versa. She was like, isn't he a nice, new person? Yes. And
So, quick question because a lot of couples never really thank you guys for being vulnerable and sharing that deep on the story, right? Because not a lot of people share about stuff like that. You see people getting married 10, 15, 20, 30 years in, and then you're like, oh, yeah, no, they look fine. But I'm sure everybody goes through stuff, right? Now, was it hard for you guys to forgive each other
oh,
during the process?
oh, for sure. Well, it wasn't like easy, but he made it easy. I remember we kind of share with couples when we before we even got married or we even knew that God was going to restore. There was a prophet, and she told me to hold her hand, and I'm like awkward, like this is my
No.
what, huh?
I was like, no.
Yeah, because we're just like going and doing ministry together. So I would always be like, okay, Lord, if we're friends and we're finally, you know what I mean, being able to
Okay.
co-parent without drama, like, amen, cool. So we would do like, events. And so long story short, the prophet comes and she says, hold her hand. So I hold her hand, and then she was like, waiting till the end of the service. So everybody leaves, and she's like, grab a bucket of water. And then so she brings a bucket of water, and she was like, wash her feet. And I'm like, what? And so I'm washing her feet. And I remember a pastor friend of ours, he's like a spiritual big brother, Pastor Javier Malta, a real, man of God, good brother from Kingdom Bound Ministries. A little shout out for you. You're welcome. You're welcome. Nah. So he was like, do you know what this means, bro? And I'm thinking like, well, in my head, I'm just like, humility, like Jesus got down and being humble. But then he breaks it down a little bit more, and he's like, dude, you're like washing away her past. Like wherever these feet walked and trampled, it's like it's gone. It's like a new beginning. And I'm like, that's dope. So I'm like, okay. So I washed her feet, and from that day forward, and we made a point with each other, like we'll never discuss the past. So in the last 8, 9 years, we've bumped heads a couple of times, but nothing major to where we've never threw our past at each other's face, because that's done with. It's erased. Like he forgave us. We washed away the past. It's like new beginnings. And so it's funny too, because they say number seven's complete, number eight is new beginnings, and we got remarried on the 8th year, so it was like new beginnings. So it was a whole new us. So from that day forward, we built new memories and new things. You know what I'm saying? So it's been good.
Now,
It's been easy.
it's crazy because I don't know if you guys understand. I'm sure you guys understand this. This is a very powerful message because a lot of people could relate to stuff like this. Especially having a spouse. A lot of people have children and then they go separate ways. So getting back into the relationship, it's a hustle. It's hard just because there's a lot of pride, ego, resentment, and stuff like that, right? Now, what helped you guys? Because I know you guys talk about the Lord all the time, but where does God hold a place in this where you guys knew, okay, this is actually coming from the Lord and it's not just me thinking?
Because honestly, everybody waking out, like nobody wanted it done. Like we share about that. Like even family members, God bless you guys, we still love y'all. But yeah, even close family members were like, that's stupid what you guys are doing. But it's like, yeah, we're not doing your will, we're doing his. So we knew right off the bat, right there, it's like, okay, something powerful is happening, a miracle. Because like she shared, we used to hate each other, dude. The first 3 years were like bumpy. Like I hate her. Never spoke negative about her around my kids, but bro, I was just like, I want nothing to do with you. Stay away from me.
Everybody else?
Yeah, I even got the kids at a young age a phone, because I'm like, I didn't want to call her phone to give it to my kids, so I just got them their own phone. Like, yeah, I just want to go direct. Like, cut you out the picture. And so just to see things like that God can just restore all that, you know what I mean? And it was just, it was all God. And that's one of the things I share with people too, is like sometimes what we want, it's not the best thing. What he wants is the best thing. So I tried dating. She dated, pretty sure. She was like, if you want to, meet me, date me, gotta go to church. That was an easy one for her. They just fell off, you know what I mean? Like, nope. Vice versa too. I was like, no, she ain't gonna be a kingdom woman, love God the way I do. Then I don't want her in the picture. I don't want her meeting my kids. Not to no, really nobody met my kids as I dated. I want to make sure it was real. And so when I prayed, like, Lord, she has to be a spiritual woman. She has to love you the way I love you. Bring her. I'll let you do the work. When he brought her, I knew it was him. because it's like, Lord, you have a sense of humor because I told you not her. And so he's like, I know what's best for you. And the same thing with her is like, he knew what was best for her. And so he brought us together, bro. So that was
Interesting.
all God. Yeah.
So before we jump into the next question about Powerhouse, right? Where, and I would love to hear both of your guys' perspective on this.
Okay.
Where did you guys knew? Okay, this is it. Like it's coming from God. This is it. I'm coming back with this person, and I'm gonna continue to do life with this person.
You want to share a little
Like,
bit?
I mean, do
Because
you guys
we have the
can
similar story and we know when it was.
like can you guys go back to that moment where
Yeah.
you knew, damn, thank you, Lord. Like you gave me clarity. Where did you get clarity? That exact moment.
I think it was um I think it was a lot of things that happened to get us to the point of where we knew. And I do want to go back, like when we weren't together and we weren't going to church, there was a lot of hate and animosity towards each other. um I mean, I felt like I was robbed from my teenage years, my young adult years, just for a relationship to be thrown out the window. And I really felt that God couldn't help us because Rick was going to church and I wasn't. So I was like, your God can't even help us. Like, so why are we staying married? So it wasn't until I had my encounter with the Lord that I was able to forgive and let go and be friends with him, right? How could you be friends with somebody that you had so much animosity towards? That was only God. Like, only God could have um, brought like that healing to me, that I can actually be around this man again. So one, you're gonna have to have God. You're gonna have a relationship. You're gonna have to learn how to forgive. You're gonna have healing for yourself. And I think that that's what happened was God got a hold of Rick and did his healing and made him who he was. God had to get a hold of me separate. You know, we couldn't have got back together and tried to work it out without having God. It would have went to hell again. You know, God had to get a hold of Rick. God had to get a hold of me separately. We had to work on ourselves, who we are, learn how to forgive, and do all of that before God can bring us back together. I think what happened was there was just a series of events that took place. Like you said, a prophet had prophesied over us a couple of times that God was going to restore something here, and we were both in denial. We were like, God's going to restore our friendship.
Yeah.
Not our marriage.
Yeah.
You know, not our marriage. He's going to restore our friendship. So, like, a lot of things happened where we were just in complete denial. But I think the last one where the prophet had him wash my feet, I was like, okay, God's really doing something. Because even when she told us to hold hands, I was like, heck no, I'm not holding his hand. So I knew that God had to have showed her that. God had to have done that. And we knew that because we were both serving God. We were both praying. We both had a relationship with God to know God's voice, right? So then after that, me and Rick decided, well, Rick had asked me to go have some coffee with him to discuss some things.
No, real quick. When he said, where did we know? I think it was at Zaya's when we went to Fraser Park to the snow, where he started speaking like, I'm gonna restore your marriage. And so it was on my son's 18th birthday. We went to the snow and he spoke because he's showing her. We went to go take pictures, and it was just supposed to be for my son. And then I remember her photographer friend said, "Hey, you guys should take one together, like a family picture." And we're like, "Nah, we're cool." Like, nah, that's my baby mama. Like, no way. She goes, just one for the kids' sake. And we're like, okay, fine. So we sat on some steps, you know.
I still stood away from him.
Yeah, yeah. We're like, okay, yeah, all right, go ahead, take a picture. And so she takes the picture. She goes, for the kids. And I thought that's cool because, yeah, even though we weren't together, at least my kids could say those are my parents on one picture, right?
Right.
Instead of my mom's right here and that's my dad over there. Like, nah. So we took the picture, and lo and behold, the Lord ends up restoring our marriage. And guess what picture we send out for like the invitations or whatnot was that picture. Yeah. And I'm like, wow. So that's how we kind of know that God was already tying it in. And so he, I believe, spoke to her like, hey, look at him. I'm ministering to her photographer. And she's like, man, this dude's different. Like, he's not cussing, he's not drunk, he's not this, he's not that. And then when I get home, he speaks to me like, she goes, okay, I'm gonna leave now because we had a cool little relationship. So she's gonna take off, and my son, the youngest, goes, "Mom, you should just spend the night." And I'm like, "Or not? Like, she could go home to her mom's, right? Like, get out of here." But when she's leaving, I feel something inside, like we're separating again. I'm like, "What? No, heck no! Like we done divorced. It's been 8 years. Like, but something in me felt like we're separating again." And I'm like, well, that's weird. So of course that night I get in prayer and Lord, what are you doing? I'm restoring. And so then that's when I called her for the coffee that she was sharing. We met for the coffee. And I said, hey, I don't know what God's doing, but if it's to restore our friendship, amen. If it's to do ministry together full throttle, let's go. I said, or if he's going to restore our relationship, I don't know what he's doing. Get into prayer and see what he does. I said, but I'm all in. And she was like, all right, I'm with that. And the rest is history. We ended up
I think we got married 5 weeks after that day.
Yeah.
But that happened at the end of January, and we got married March 12th.
And even though she's my kid's mom, and we still want to show even our kids, like I think we talk to them and say, hey, we're gonna be God's doing something in our lives. She still stood at her mom's, and it's like you won't move in until we're married. So like even though she's my kid's mom, you can be like, well, yeah, come on, you come move in tomorrow. Like, nah, stay over there, and you'll be able to move in. So we kind of kept it, you know what I mean, righteous in God's eyes. Like, all right, Lord, we won't be intimate, we won't do nothing until you restore.
I think we didn't want to mess it up either. You know, like it's the second time, and we were both serving God, and we didn't want to mess it up, so we wanted to do it right this time. Because the first time I got pregnant when I was 15, and we weren't married, so we wanted to do it right this time.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, man, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Now, I asked all these questions, right, because it's leading up to what you guys are doing now. Now, a lot of people they talk about these amazing stories, right? Like, cause I have heard great stories as well. I'm sure you guys have as well.
Yeah.
But can you guys share one more thing as far as what did you guys do in order to heal? The how? Because everybody shares, oh yeah, this happened, but what did you do to heal during the process? And then we jump into the next question.
Well, for me, like she shared,
In those 8 years, what did you do?
It was for me was the 12-step program. In that program, I was able to forgive people. I remember just one of the things is the forgiveness, right? So I forgave certain people, and I remember forgiving and just saying I forgive her, Lord. But it was like I remember an analogy was like I'm just cutting the weed, but not pulling it out from the root, right? So she probably don't remember, but I had gave her a letter because through a prophet, he said there's still some unforgiveness in you. Pray about it. And I'm like, what? No, I thought I did it all. Long story short, it was her for the third time. And he said, you need to get with God, and do what you do. And okay, so I did it. And so what he told me to do was anoint the pen, anoint this, anoint that. And when I was truly able to forgive her for whatever had happened in our past, I remember just weeping as I'm writing like a letter of apology. And so I even see my tears just soaking into the paper, right? Like, and I knew it was a godly moment. But from that day forward, because I used to rage, bro. I used to have this anger. It was a hurt so bad that I lost my queen, right? Like, I loved her so much that after a 13-year divorce, that hurt became anger. And so I tell people the best way I describe the old me was Incredible Hulk. Like, I'm cool until I turn green. Then after that, it's game over. I didn't want that no more. I needed that rage out of me. So in the 12-step program, that right there was one of the biggest things was like, I need to pluck it from the root, Rick. And it took God like a divine appointment with him, just me and him intimate to say, hey, Lord, where is it coming from? I need this out. And so he said, forgive her for the last time. So I forgave her, opened it up with a scripture. I don't remember, poured out my heart, filled it with a scripture, gave it to her. She don't remember. She's like, yeah, I probably threw it away, read it. I don't know. She was probably in her addiction at the time, but that was my freedom. That was my like.
That was for you.
That was for me. Like, cool. Now I can start all over again. So that was the first step, and then after that, of course, just a little process. From forgiveness to, what I mean. Where am I headed? What do I want? Where are we going? And it just the rest is history, bro. But yeah, that was for me. It was that angry booger dude. I need to get rid of that guy. He got to go. And so forgiveness is what did it for me. For the first from the beginning, yeah.
Got it. What about you, Evan?
Mine was more connecting with people. Life group, they helped me a lot. I was able to connect with other women, be vulnerable, talk about a lot of situations that happened because he wasn't the only person who hurt me. So being able to talk about the situations that I had been through, receive prayer, being able to connect with people, talk to them when I was really feeling down or when I was really going through a moment. I would, hey, sister, this is what's happening, and have that prayer. Learning how to pray for myself, learning how to read the Bible. I actually went through like a whole deliverance. I know some people don't believe in that, but I went in through a whole deliverance at Kingdom Down, that's what that he's talking about, where I was delivered from the addiction and everything, like in one hit of prayer. I whole turkey, everything was out the window. But I continued to go there and I continued to get prayer, and I would leave like crying and weeping and just, a hot mess. But I know I was like in those moments, God was doing something inside of me and in my heart. So I think a lot of prayer, connecting with people, having people pray for you. The life groups, I mean, it worked. I found different groups and different women, and to this day, I can still call them for prayer. I'm going to be sober 10 years this year. So
Wow,
10 years ago,
congratulations.
yeah, 10 years ago, I connected with people through life groups. And I know to this day, I can still call and be like, hey, I need prayer, I'm going through something else. Or, hey, something came up. And it does come up. Like, for instance, because of mine and Rick's history of him not coming home, I still kind of get antsy when he's not home by 9, 10 o'clock. I'm like, whoa, hold on.
A.M. What?
PM. My stomach starts feeling like, oh, like those feelings are coming back. Like you're starting to go back to those memories. And I'm like, hey, where are you at? I need to see, are you coming home? What's going on? Or now I'll call for someone like, hey, I need prayer. Like this came back up. I need it again 10 years later. It's
Wow.
it's a process. It's not something that just happens right away. But in that process, am I devoted to him? Do I still love him? Am I devoted to God? Do I trust that God restored this? Or am I going to go on my emotions and fall back into those pits of feeling uneasy and feeling. So it's a process, and it's work that I have to do. And it's work that we have to do in our marriage. So there's not one thing that we can say that helped us to get through the healing of forgiveness and all of that. But to this day, it's still a process that's going on.
Got it. Got it. Wow. No wonder they said your guys' story was good. Pretty good. Okay, so the next question is, I'm sure I don't even have to ask this question, but because I could see it, right? But what inspires you? What inspired both of you guys to start Powerhouse?
You want me to start, baby, or you want me?
I think what inspired us was the childhood that we had, right? A lot of the things that we went through, a lot of the things that we were able to see with our friends. My dad was a drug addict all my life, still to this day out there doing his thing. I love my dad. Nobody can ever replace my dad. But there is some traumas from that, not having a dad there to give me advice and show me what a man is supposed to look like to take care of me or to be a spouse or whatnot because he wasn't involved the way that he should have been. So I think a lot of our childhood and what we've seen like with our friends really inspired us to have Powerhouse so that there's something stable that we can help instill into children. So
Wow.
Yeah, I think piggybacking, yeah, the childhood, growing up in the projects, I kind of shared about the POW Center. I tell people like there was a mentor, and he didn't realize he was mentoring me, but or coaching. It was Mike Dallas, rest in peace, man, solid brother. He was a trainer, and so he would train the kids, and so at the POW Center, there was a boxing gym, a basketball court, and a little pool table. It was nothing big, but it kept us off the streets. And so I was a little knucklehead, but I grew up with good parents, no alcohol, no drugs. But that's kind of what kind of now I look back and say, oh, it wasn't that my dad wasn't there because he was there, but wasn't. He was a hardworking
Right.
man. Like I said, they came from Mexico, so they're hardworking field workers, agriculturing. I mean, this dude worked his butt off. I got 10 brothers. Well, there's 10 of us, 9 brothers and sisters, myself 10. So he was providing for 10 kids, bro. So because of that, guess what I did? Because he wasn't around. I hung out with the knuckleheads. And so a lot of my friends were fatherless, but we look back now and I can see it wasn't that there wasn't a dad. It was just there wasn't a positive male role model. And mine was Mike Dallas. So he snagged me from the streets and being inside the POW Center, man, that helped me stay out of trouble. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
So then when we, you know, grew up and here we are, what can we do? We started fostering. From fostering, it was like, man, we're helping one kid at a time. I kind of tell people I can't save the world, but I can save one world at a time. And
Yeah.
that's where that Lord trusts us to bring into our home. And so we started with that, and we got positive results. Well, they would give us the little knucklehead, like I shared, and it's like, okay, what can we do to kind of grow and help more kids? Because Bakersfield's big, dude, and there's a lot of little knuckleheads running around out there that just need a positive role model. And so even for people that are out there that you feel like you're gifted in that area, use it, because it's gonna take a team, bro. It's gonna take more than
Right.
just a couple, a powerhouse. It's gonna take there's other programs out there, and amen to them. But yeah, just that's what inspired me to do Powerhouse with the wife.
So what's the vision for Powerhouse? What do you guys want? Where is it going? Where you guys at now with Powerhouse, and what's your guys' vision?
You want to start? Because I'll talk.
Right now we're in our second season. So last year we started, and we probably had about 25 kids coming in and out. Six of them actually finished, they actually graduated. So we had that graduation last year. There's a couple kids from last year that were able to move over to this year because they had started late in the season. So now they're finishing their classes. So we're in our second year. But what does it look like, or where is it going? We would like to have a facility, something where we can have a gym for them to release some steam, learn how to use coping skills like working out, have a kitchen, have somewhere where they can learn how to make healthy meals, somewhere where they can grow like their own fruit and vegetables, and then incorporate that into their life. We would like to have like a computer lab, excuse me, where they can type resumes or look for jobs or anything like that. So kind of like a one-stop shop where they can get everything they need, where they'll
Right.
have the life groups, where they'll have a workout area, a kitchen, a lab, like a computer lab. And I know Rick wants to open a barber college so he can teach some of the kids a skill.
Yeah.
Or give haircut or whatever he may need. Maybe somebody's going to go on an interview, he can cut their hair there. Or maybe college isn't for somebody and they can go to barber college and then get that there as well. So the big picture would be to have a big facility where they can come in and get everything that they need. And we would eventually like to get a grant to help us pay for that, have some employees, and make it bigger than what it is now. Because right now it's just really a group. It's just a weekly group that we meet. But we would like to have more, offer more services.
Mhm.
And it's coming.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
With your help.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So, is there anything else you guys would like to share about what programs what program you guys are doing for the kids? Anything in general that you guys want to share?
I mean, honestly, it's it's going. You know, I'm thinking like,
So right now we're doing OMAT, which Rick met his through a friend of his. So we started doing OMAT with them, and so every month it's a different subject. So like this month it was coping skills. So figuring out what are your triggers, what makes you angry, sad, depressed, whatever. What is it that does that? And then when you start feeling those things, how do you switch it over to something positive? And then we talked about like affirmations, like when you feel that you're not doing well or someone calls you dumb, how do you train your mind to say, no, I'm not dumb, I'm smart, and how do you change your mentality? So every month it's something different. This month it will be setting goals. We need some short-term goals and long-term goals, like pretty much reasons to live, right? Why are you here? What are you doing? Like, I know for a lot of kids who are having issues, it's hard for them to see tomorrow.
Right.
And it's like, let's get you out of that box. What do you have going on for the next month? Can we set a goal? What do you have going on for the next couple of years? Can we help you come up with that? Because when you're trying to live day to day to survive, you can't think that far. So we're just here to mentor them through a lot of those things. So every month will be a different subject. And once they're here for 3 months, then we have it's called a sponsorship. So it's like a reward for them. It's $120, and we get different people to help sponsor kids, and then we show them what they do with the money. So a girl just got her sponsorship, and she was able to do her whole hair. So different kids do different things. It could be like a pair of Jordans.
that's
It
what
could be a
started it.
skateboard. It can be something like that. So right now, that's what the program consists of. It's a weekly sit-in class with us. After 3 months, they get the sponsorship, and then after the whole year of classes, they get an actual graduation where we got help from what is it? MB2?
MB2.
MB2, where they ran the race cars and they did all that. Okay. So right now, that's what the program looks like for us. But I know that OMAT was a really big help. It helped us get the ideas out of our mind that we were already having and put it onto paper. So that was a really cool story how Rick came out.
Yeah, so we're trying to put all that together, like coping skills, like what subjects are we going to teach on? Right. And so, long story short, OMAT is one mind at a time. OMAT, one mind at a time. And Sam Pena, I kind of told you about my brother Sam Pena. He's a friend of ours. I told you, hey man, you got to meet this guy, so maybe he can get on your podcast, Sam. I'm trying to hook you up. And so long story short, man, my son goes, hey dad, I want to go and do like safety class on a firearm. I just want to go to the shooting range or whatnot. Okay, let's go. So we took the class. It teaches you safety on the firearm, blah blah blah, and you get to shoot like different ones, target practicing. So you kind of get a feel of what you would want to purchase if you want to buy a weapon or whatnot, right? A safety weapon for the home. So then in that class, I meet Sam Pena, and so they do a scenario, and then I kind of share, one of our kids ended up getting caught with a firearm and they violated him, one of our fosters. And so when he hears that, he goes, oh, you're a foster parent. So he just starts digging out, and going deep into the conversation. And so I told him, yeah, we want to open up, program Powerhouse. And I kind of gave him the little highlights and vision of what we wanted to start. Mm-hmm. And he was like, dude, I have a program called OMAT. And so he shows it to me. I'm like, bro, this is what we need. He was like, it's yours. And so he gave it to us. And I'm like, what a coincidence. So that's how we knew too. God was already in the move because it's already like, working. Bro, yeah, here it is, like on a silver platter, bro. Written out and typed done. And he was like, check it out, one mind at a time. So we looked it over, and I was like, perfect. Mm-hmm. And so we threw our little 2-3 little cents in there too, so to create kind of him and us. And so yeah, it's perfect. Nice. So that's how it started. Yeah.
Wow. Interesting story, guys.
Yeah. Okay. And it started in the living room, like I shared with you, right? We started in the living room, took us to the barbershop, now we're here. So, we have our own little space here. And so the vision is, though, one day
have a facility.
Have our facility.
Got it. And you guys currently have a nonprofit, right?
Correct.
Okay. So if people would like to share, like donate, they'll definitely could donate to your guys' nonprofit.
Yes, that would be a blessing.
Yeah, that would help out with helping more kids. Can you share just a little bit more just to close this off and see like how if someone donates, how this could benefit the nonprofit to help these children?
You want to do it, baby? Okay, so well, I know we have it's like a scan code or whatnot for like if they wanted to donate. We do have a website as well. The website is Powerhouse Youth and Family Center.com. Okay. So Powerhouse Youth and Family Center.com. So if you guys, go on there, it'll show you where you guys can help out if they wanted to donate. And then we do have little QR codes for like Venmos and other than that. But I mean, with like she shares, like it's a blessing if we can find sponsors. But I mean, even through donations, we wouldn't even have to ask if we got the amount. Last year, there was a couple of donors, two that were like entrepreneurs that they own their own businesses, um, and they were a huge help. So then this year we started off with a little savings that we had put away for Powerhouse. And quick little story is funny, but we to rent this facility, my wife was like, "Well, we have the finances to just pay for the whole, you know, year, and start off with nothing, or just make monthly payments." And she goes, "Let's just pay it all up front, so we don't have to worry about rent." And I'm in my head like, "No, wait, like then what are we gonna have?" Right. And so she did it, and so we paid for the facility for the whole year, so we don't have to worry about rent. But then out of nowhere, my buddy calls me and says, "Hey man, my company wants to donate $1,000 to a nonprofit. You still doing the Powerhouse?" We said, "Yeah, funny. We're going to launch out in January." He goes, "Okay." So they just donated 1,000 and it gave us some of the money back. So just with that donation, I kind of felt like, you know what, the Lord's already on the move. Yeah, we stepped out in faith. She put it all in, and just little by little, it's coming back. The finances to reap, you know, what would you say, like replenish, the funds. And so anything that comes in, of course, we're pretty good with finances, and we teach the kids finances because with it, I know it's a great tool. A lot of people say, money ain't everything, but we do need it, So with more coming in, we can do more with the kids as well. Like, we've done some outings. We do like every month when we end the topic, we end it with a little shenanigans. Like yesterday, we ended coping skills, and I made them street tacos, right? So like every fourth week they eat, and so they love that. So then next month, February, the topic's gonna be on goal setting. Like, what are your guys' goals for the year? And so of course we teach them for 3 weeks goal sets, and then on the fourth one we kind of ended with a little shenanigans. So all that costs, and so by the grace of God, we both have some good jobs, and if nothing comes in, we always put a little something aside. So last year was some donations self-funded. This year so far it's one donation self-funding, and maybe you guys can help out. And so whatever comes in, man, we're definitely gonna, you know, apply it to the youth. Slash, we even have an Instagram, so you guys can even see where your guys' finances is going. Just jump on Instagram, you'll see what we're up to, and you can be like, hey, I was part of that.
And we don't get paid. We do this out of our heart. We do it. We don't get paid for coming every week with these kids. We don't get reimbursed for the food that we provide for them weekly. We have snacks at hand for them to eat. We don't know what it looks like at home, so they're able to come and have snacks and have drinks and stuff like that. I would love to have donations where I can have like little hygiene types for the kids to grab. Like I said, I don't know what's going on at home. I don't know if they have hygiene. I don't know if they, have eaten. I don't know if they have food. But when I do sit down and I do talk to them and I talk to parents, I do give them resources for outside resources. Like, hey, this is where you can get a food box if you're having issues with PG&E. This is where you can get your PG&E. So that's why it's called Youth and Family Center, because it's not just for the youth.
Right.
We try to help out with whatever's going on at home. Last year we did donate to 2 families where we helped them with a bill. So whatever comes in as donations, it has nothing. It does not go to me and Rick. It goes back to either the families or the child in their sponsorship, or preparing the meals once a month, or their snacks, or the water. We got a big donation from Frito Lay, so they provided all the chips for us. Home Depot has donated before too. So it can be little things like art supplies, journals, snacks, hygiene, that we would appreciate. If you don't feel comfortable giving us money,
Yeah,
we will take donations as well.
we did a backpack giveaway last year. We did 200 backpacks fully loaded with everything in it, so you didn't have to get nothing. And
200.
200, yeah. And so we did some pop-up events too, and that was free. We had about 20, 30 pop-up tents of different entrepreneurs. We didn't charge them a dime. We just wanted to promote their businesses and really promote ourselves. And so it was like, come out here. We had a vision for a building. It didn't fall through, but only God knows
Only
why.
God
So
knows
we're
why.
cool. And so we did it twice there. The lady that we thought we were gonna do, because they were gonna restore the building, but they kind of held up because of financial problems, I think. So they haven't proceeded on the building, but at least we got to use the parking lot. It's pretty huge. So we had, 2 events out there. They're awesome, man. We have some footage, I think, on Instagram. You'll see it. But if you can see the building back there, that was like almost. So it's like, okay, Lord, on your time.
Right.
And so He knows where He's gonna have us. But yeah, I mean, everything you'll see it on Instagram. I mean, what we're up to with whatever is donated. We just put it back into the community or to the kids.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for sharing your guys' story, and also for serving these kids, because like you guys said, you guys don't know what's going on at home, and sometimes these kids just need a little push to get up there. I know I was one of them.
Yeah.
So God is good. I think finding good is the best thing you could do in your life. But I appreciate you guys.
No,
Thank you guys. If you guys want to go ahead and donate, we'll put the links on the YouTube channel as well. We're gonna collaborate on Instagram, and then just give us a follow and reach out. God bless you guys and take care.